Hello, welcome to my beginner-friendly good first project crochet tutorial for a double thick pot holder. If you are new to this channel, I did a little intro video about how I got into crochet and went over basics, slip knot, chaining, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. That is on my channel if you need it, but today we are going to go over step by step from the start how to create your pot holder. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here is a finished pot holder. We are going to start with our chain row, which you can see in dark pink right here. So that's what determines the diagonal length of your pot holder. And then we're gonna go around and around and join in the middle. So let's get started. So initial chain row, reminder this is cotton yarn. We do want to use cotton yarn because it's safe with the heat. And I'm using a 4mm hook. We are going to start by tying our slip knot, which I do go over a little bit slower in my intro video if you need it. And then we are going to start chaining. So that's wrapping the yarn around our hook and pulling through the loop on our hook. And we are going to chain the length we'd like for our diagonal length of the pot holder. For this tutorial's sake, I am going to make a mini pot holder just because it'll be quicker and work up quicker. So I am just going to chain, I think about like 12 to 14 stitches, and that's going to be the diagonal length of my pot holder. So you can see me showing you that on the other one here. So that dark pink row was my initial chain for the finished one. Again, it can be however long you want. It's just going to be it's going to determine the diagonal length of your pot holder. So here is where I'm going to work with. So we're going to start working our single crochets now. So the first single crochet, you do not want to work it into the stitch that your loop is coming out of. So you're going to skip that stitch, insert your hook into the back loop of your next stitch, pull loop through, have 2 loops on your hook, you'll yarn over and pull through both loops. So that's a single crochet. And you're just going to repeat that all the way down your chain. So back loop only single crochets. So insert your hook into the back loop, pull loop through, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. And you're going to repeat that all the way down your initial chain. Again, that is a back loop only single crochet. And that's literally what we're gonna do, single crochets, for basically 99% of this tutorial. So you're gonna get very, very comfortable with doing your single crochets if you're not already. So showing you what it looks like. I'm gonna keep working on those single crochets and speed through them because it is pretty repetitive. If you need to go back, here is the timestamp for when I started those single crochets if you need to see them a little bit slower. We're gonna make sure we don't miss that initial chain. Sometimes it does kind of get lost and gets a little tight, but make sure you do get a single crochet in the back loop of that first chain. You can see me here, my initial chain tightened up a bit, so I'm struggling to get my hook through, but we are going to get it done. There we go. Okay, and my last single crochet on that side. And then all we're gonna do is we're going to turn in or rotate our project and then continue on the other side of the chain row. So the other side of the stitch, which will technically, because we turned our row, our project, it is going to be the back loop again. So we're just going to do the other side of each stitch, another single crochet. So I'm just working these single crochets in the other loop, which is technically still the back loop since we turned and rotated our project. So again, speeding through these because again, it's just the single crochet. If you need the timestamp to go back to going over the single crochet at the beginning, here it is. So we have done single crochets all along the opposite side of the chain row, and now we're back around, and this is the first single crochet we did. So all you're gonna do is, instead of just doing the back loop, you're gonna go through the entire stitch, so the front and the back loop, so the entire braid, and do your single crochet. So pull, loop through, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that's what we're gonna do for the rest of this project, or 99% of it is single crochets around and around and around. The important thing is that you are going through the entire stitch, so both the front and the back loop, not just the back loop like we started with. So you want to make sure you're going through both sides of the stitch. So I'm just speeding through because it is very, very repetitive. They're all single crochets and we're working around and around. And now I'm getting to the other side of my initial row. So I'm just gonna slow this down and show you me working around. Again, still just doing a single crochet in each stitch. So insert hook, pull, loop through, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. And just continuing doing those single crochets. What you're gonna notice, even after just doing one round, is that the corner is gonna start to fold in. That is what you want. Do not worry if you see that happening. That is what needs to happen in order to create that double thickness layer of the pot holder. So we're just gonna keep working single crochets around, and I'm gonna meet you a little further. So here you go. This is about 3 or 4 more rounds. You can see those corners folding in and the shape coming into play. Again, all I've done is just continue doing single crochets in each stitch, the entire stitch, not just the back loop. So I'm just going to do a couple more in real time for you in case you need to see it. We're just working around our single crochets. So insert hook, pull, loop through, yarn over, pull through both loops. Very, very repetitive, which is great for beginners. So you get really comfortable holding your yarn, holding your hook, and doing that single crochet. Because that is honestly one of the most important things that will get you comfortable. So again, we're just going to keep going around and around, and I will meet you when those edges start to meet in the middle. So I can flip it over. You can see that it grows and it creates those other 4 corners, and then we're just going to join in the middle. So that's where I'm going to meet you. So again, I just wanted to do one more fast forward and show you it coming into shape. So again, still just doing single crochets around and around. Like I've said a couple times, it's very, very repetitive, which is okay. If you're a more seasoned crocheter, these work up very quickly. They're great for markets, for gifts, or even for yourself if you want your pot holders to be specific to a theme in your kitchen. But yeah, just the important thing is that we are using cotton yarn for this. So around and around we go. You can see with each round, those inside edges get closer and closer to meeting. So I'm just gonna do a couple more rounds and I will meet you right here. You can see our edges are almost met. So I'm just gonna finish doing this last row of single crochets up until I get to that top corner. You do wanna make sure that last round, whenever they do meet, is finishing at the top corner so that you can start your join at one of the unfinished corners. So that's what you see me doing here, working my way up with the single crochets, folding it to make sure that the edges meet and that I have enough stitches. It looks like I need to do 1 or 2 more around the top edge before I'm truly at the top corner. So I'm gonna do 1, 2 more, and you can see that that loop is perfectly at the corner now. And now we are going to join the diagonal. So this is going to be a new stitch. It is a stitch that I didn't go over in the intro video I posted last week. It's going to be the slip stitch, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our hook and we're going to insert it into both stitches on each side of the join. So through the entire stitch, both loops, the entire braid on both sides, and you're gonna pull a loop through both of those stitches, and then you're gonna pull that loop that you pulled through the loop on your hook. So slip it through. So again, I'll do it a couple more times, slow it down. So through both stitches, they should line up, pull loop through, and then pull that loop through the loop on your hook. And that is a slip stitch. So through both stitches to join, pull a loop through and pull that loop through the loop on your hook. And make sure you're pulling it tight so that you have a nice secure join. So I'm gonna do a couple more of these in real time for you. Again, the other way you can do this is that if you want to fold your project in half, it might be a little bit more comfortable for you to work from the top like this and see them line up and do your slip stitch. Through both stitches, see them line up, slip stitch. Through both stitches, pull loop through the loop on your hook. You're going to repeat that all the way across the diagonal to join. So I'm just going to speed through these next couple until we get to the last one, just so I can show you not to miss it. So here we are. I've got one more, two, it looks like two more. So we're going to complete the join all the way up. So it looks like one more pair to join here. Just pull loop through and slip it through the loop on your hook for a slip stitch. And we are joined. So that is our pot holder finished. You might need to stretch it out and block it to get that shape a little bit more square. You can do that however you'd like. Wet blocking, steam blocking. I'll go over that whole process in another video, but now we just need to make our loop. So the loop's pretty simple. You're just gonna chain, I chain 8 for a loop. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we are going to insert our hook into that same stitch that our last stitch that we did before we started chaining, and do a slip stitch to join, and then pull it tight, pull a bit of a tail for your loop and cut it. And then we just want to pull that tight so our loop is secure. We can use that to hang in our kitchen. And then you just want to weave in your ends or sew in your ends. And I use my hook to do this. You can use a needle as well. I just insert my hook into a stitch and pull the end through. And then to hide the tail, I just insert my hook into the middle of the project on the inside and pull that tail through, and then I'll cut the excess off. But that is all of the steps to create your pot holder. I'm just using my hook to hide that end, stuff it in a little bit more. And this is my mini pot holder. Again, you can make yours whatever size you'd like. That initial chain just determines the diagonal length. But that's it. Timestamps are below. And we're finished. So again, I just made like a mini version just because it can take a while to go around and around, and I wanted to get this tutorial out to you guys. Basically, that initial chain, which you can see on here in the dark pink, is going to determine the diagonal length of your pot holder. So that's going to determine your size, and then you just do your single crochets around and around and around, one single crochet in each stitch until those ends meet in the middle, and then you slip stitch through each stitch on each side to join, and then you do a chain and slip stitch to join at the top and time secure your end and weave it in, and you have your double thickness pot holder. Like I mentioned, it is important that you use hi Lila, it's a new box. It is important that you use a cotton yarn for it to be heat safe versus acrylic or something like that might melt or cause you issues. So cotton yarn, my favorite cotton yarn is Lily Cream and Sugar, or Sugar and Cream. I always forget which order it is, but yeah, this is our first kind of intro tutorial. I am brainstorming some other ones. This will get you really comfortable with holding your hook and holding your yarn and keeping your tension consistent, and it's just a single crochet around and around and around, so it gets you very, very comfortable with the single crochet stitch. As always, if you have any questions, please be sure to drop them below. I am very responsive in my comments and on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe here and follow me on Instagram for all things a Threads by Kate update. And if there is a specific tutorial you'd like me to do, drop that below as well, because I'm always looking for ideas. I hope this is super helpful for you guys who are just starting out, and thanks for following along.